My basic strategy for this is I'm going to take this wrench here, forge these out, and then back in to kind of widen this area out, so that way it's not, like a, scalpel knife. And then of course forge it to my, planning on making a karambit shape, and depending on how much I have. I'm going to make the sides and the locking mechanism out of this old saw blade. I'm going to just use scrap pieces of wood I had lying around for my scale. For this challenge, I was originally thinking about maybe using this. I actually bought this with the intention of making knives out of, so I decided not to use it since it's bought and not junk, and I want to make this out of junk. So I kind of got my forging done a little bit, started grinding on it, and as I'm going through, I mentioned I didn't originally want to have like just kind of a scalpel blade, but it looks like this is going to turn out that way. So since this ended up getting some cracks along it and it's not going to be as good as I want it to be, I'm just going to go ahead and take the end of it, this piece, cut off the, the head here, and then forge this into probably a thinner blade. I will just refilm all of it, just because it's going to be easier and I don't really want to have something in there just to not use it. But I just wanted to say that I'm changing from my original plan and just forging this out into my karambit blade. So it's going to be probably a thin blade like I originally wasn't going to do. But I don't know, plans change, and that happens, especially when working with scrap steel. Okay, so I have the sort of shape I wanted cut in. This little notch is so when it's like folded in your pocket, you can pull it out and that catches and flips it open. General plan anyway. But I'm gonna go to my grinder and of course make this pointy, flatten out some edges, of course put an edge on it. I don't really know how I'm going to shape this quite yet. I'll probably make the handle scale, or not the handle, I guess sort of the handle scales. I'm going to make the handle first and then shape that from there, just so I kind of know what I'm dealing with. So this is going much poorer than expected, but like I said, I'm not really good with making pocket knives. Or I guess I haven't said that. But I'm actually really bad at making pocket knives. This is why I usually don't. But my basic plan is I have my shape sort of cut out. This is going to be bent into my locking mechanism. I want to use the end of this wrench here as kind of a pommel, just because karambits have that hole there, and I think it'd be cool to use the other end of the wrench. Basically, I have my pinhole just marked in here, which is, I think, like there. Yeah, there'd be my pinhole, and I couldn't think of a way to really have it to where it like doesn't go any farther back than what's supposed to. And then I thought, what if I just have it to where the blade actually rests on the locking mechanism instead of like a weird pin somewhere? I don't know if it's gonna work, but I'm gonna give it a shot. So I have my two pieces cut out and sanded to about the same size, as close as I can get anyway. I currently have them clamped together using a pair of vice grips. Because what I'm going to do is drill a hole in here where my blade, which when I shut the camera off I'll probably trim up to where I want it to be, as labeled there. And I'll probably take the end of the wrench, which I forged down to where it's the same thickness as this. And I originally was going to pin it into place, and that was still a good option, but since I have the equipment, I think I'm just going to go ahead and weld it, because that'll take less time. Okay, so I have my holes drilled, and just a nail kind of in there to hold it in place. I'll probably cut it down and use my pin later. But I cut this down to the shape I need for the lock. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my pattern, or not really pattern. I'm going to draw out from this where I need to cut for the liner lock, and then of course, well, cut it. Now that's cut and bent the way I want it, I'm going to go ahead and weld this piece in place, and then all I really have to do is do a bit of fine tuning, heat treat the blade of course, and then glue some sort of wood handle scales on it. And yeah, so far just from testing it, the blade doesn't open up quite as well as I wanted it to, just by the way it's shaped. But for just kind of being a out of trash build, it could be going a lot worse. Okay, so now that I have the kind of wrench part welded on, I just have it clamped in place. The locking mechanism mostly works. Now I'm going to go ahead and just normalize and heat treat the blade. I won't be able to get this as hard as I normally do, because this isn't steel that I am really familiar with, but you know, so far that's not really going to be an issue because this is going to be a pretty trash-looking pocket knife. But it was made from trash, so hey, why not? And so far, still better than anything I bought from Walmart. Okay, so after a little bit of tweaking to get that to lock in properly, I'm going to cut the nail I was using and then pin it out, or not pin it out. I still use this pin, but I'm going to hammer it out so that way it locks into place. Although I have noticed that when opening this up, it has a habit of the locking mechanism engaging about halfway through, so you have to kind of like hold it open. So yeah, this is just a weird feature of this knife. Honestly, at this point, I probably would have abandoned this project had it not come this far. You know, sometimes good plans like these just don't really turn out as well as you want them to. So I'm just kind of embracing this as just a trash knife made from trash, but still better than a lot of cheap knives I've seen or bought. Don't buy cheap knives. Just don't. So after a few minor adjustments and yeah, maybe a little bit of sharpening, I don't know yet, I might not, I have myself a trash pocket knife. Honestly, it almost looks like something you would find in like some sort of like Mad Max type video game or movie. I can't decide if I love it or hate it, to be perfectly honest. But I don't know, it's an interesting thing. I cut a small groove in there so that way when I fold it up, if I can, I don't know, the locking mechanism is really tight. And I don't really want, there it goes. Try to do this without cutting my hand open. So where it folds in like that, you can kind of open it there. I had to make some adjustments and you really can't tell, but I'm saying I'm a lot. You can see there where I kind of cut a notch in to where it actually opens up all the way without it catching. And again, I was going to put like wood scales on it and clean this weld up. I mean, I might wire wheel it, might not, I don't know. But I don't know, I think it kind of adds like the, you know, trash look. I don't know. Again, I can't decide if I love this knife or hate it. But I think if I put too much more work into it, it's not even really going to be worth it. And all things considered, it's not the worst thing to hold. I mean, I wouldn't use it for like, you know, a fighting knife or anything, but just for fun, why not? And it's still better than a lot of knives I've bought just because it's a little stronger steel. So this will probably be, and by say probably, it definitely is, my last video of this year. Year 2020, the one that everyone really hates if you're watching this, I don't know, in the future sometime. And, you know, the last knife I made is kind of junk. But, I don't know, that's kind of the charm of it. But I do actually have some pretty big plans for this coming year. I got a lot of projects in mind. Some of them are stuff I'm kind of working on that are whole new projects. Some involve a few modifications of some pre-existing stuff that I kind of want to try out. So, yeah, like I said, stick around if you're not subscribed. I recommend subscribing if you enjoy some of my other videos. I mean, don't take this one as an example. It's not that great of a video. But I didn't really want to scrap it because I was too far into it by the time I realized this isn't going to work very well. But as you can see, I can make better stuff. This isn't finished, by the way. So, yeah, hopefully I can see everyone in 2021.